Cool. My name's David Harvey. I'm CTO of Vyclone. Before I start, can you stick your hand up if you've heard of Vyclone? Can you stick your hand up or keep your hand up if you've actually got it on your iPhone or on your Android phone? We've just launched for Windows Phone, but I don't expect there are very many of those here. Okay, in which case the demo is going to have to be me. I'm going to start recording on 3 devices. Here we go. So camera's open on 3 devices. I'm going to turn that one around and point it at me. And I'm going to turn that one around and point it at the audience. Okay? So if you can see that on the screen, we've got 3 people filming. So the device, the system knows there are 3 cameras open and ready to record here. If you can look at here, it says Music Tech Festival. We've actually set up an occasion, an event for this particular event. So basically, we're recording and auto-tagging all the Vyclone videos made on this event, and we make them available as a stream. So I'm now going to record with 3 cameras. And this one was on me. It looks like I've got something growing out of my cheek. That's the microphone. I've got one on the crowd, one on our wonderful cameraman. Here we go. Again, if you can look at the image on the camera, it says 3 out of 3 filming, so it knows that we've all got our cameras on. I think that'll do for the demo. I'm going to stop recording on all 3. I'm going to upload that one, upload that one, and all being well, shortly we'll have a multi-angle movie stitched together, cut together by our algorithms on our server, and delivered back to the devices. So let's leave that working its way across the Atlantic and back, because our servers are in West Virginia, and let's now click over to the talk. Thanks very much. Cool. So, Vyclone, company founded by a couple of Brits who found themselves together in Los Angeles. They both followed their girlfriends. Their girlfriends are both now their wives, so that must mean something. One of our founders is a rock musician, Joe Sumner. He was playing with his band Fiction Plane at Glastonbury in 2010 and looked out at a sea of people holding up mobile phones. And he'd been used to his manager coming to talk to him the next day and saying, "Do you see the videos that people uploaded from last night's gig on YouTube?" And Joe would say, "Yeah," and they'd have a good grumble about how crap the sound was, and how 1 or 2 of them had quite nice views, except just at the right moment, this big guy with the afro haircut jumped up in front and wrecked everything. So Joe set to thinking about what it would be if we could actually make that experience a better experience for fans, better memories of the event, for bands, a better showcase for what they were doing, and actually for the music industry as a whole, because there may be some opportunities here to promote and actually to monetize. So the idea behind Vyclone was born. And we settled on this notion of crowdsourced multi-angled mobile video platform and applications built on top of that. Basically to capture all of these videos, combine them into effective and beautiful memories of originally of musical occasions. Very soon, we realized that we had something bigger on our hands. That this was actually a really, really interesting social proposition. Anytime you're gathered together with your friends, kids' party, school event, messing around at the pub, you might want to shoot something. And actually, if you're shooting something together, why not have that footage synchronized? Why not have it cut back and given to you in your phone? So this is the basic proposition of Vyclone. We shoot any number of people in the same place at the same time, filming the same thing. We upload it. On our servers, this footage gets synchronized in time and cut together into a beautiful multi-angle movie. And we give it back to you on your phone. Once you've got it, you can share it. You can do anything you like with it. And if you don't like how we've cut it, how we've edited it together, we actually give you an editor in the phone that lets you make your own mix and then publish that, share it, and so on. So shoot, save, sync, share, remix. That's what Vyclone is about. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the story of the startup. Like I said, 2010 in Glastonbury, Joe had the idea and took it to a friend, actually related, a man called David King-Lastman, who's well known in the UK tech community as a serial entrepreneur. He's built and sold 2 or 3 businesses now. So Joe and David approached me in January of 2011. I built some proof of concepts, and come June was ready to pull a team together to build a first version of this application. We found some office space. I found some friends to build the server. We managed to locate a tame iPhone developer who we effectively chained to a desk for a week and produced the first version of the product. Rough around the edges, still not quite sure where it was going in terms of social versus music versus maybe some other verticals, but we took it on the road. Oh, yes, just to say that I am CTO, and I do like talking about the tech stuff. If I talk about the tech stuff here, I don't know, maybe some people's eyes will glaze over, maybe they won't. But I'm perfectly happy to answer questions afterwards, either in this forum or privately. I believe there is a bar here, so come and buy me a drink, and I'll spill the beans. So we took it on the road later that year on the West Coast, and ended up pitching to Ashton Kutcher, amongst others. We met Ashton in his trailer on the Warner Brothers lot. He was late. He came in and started undressing in front of us, which was alarming, to say the least. I'm very glad to say he didn't finish undressing in front of us, although if we'd captured that from multiple angles, I think that might have been quite an advert for our technology. Ashton, amongst others, pulled together another bunch of investors, so we were actually ready at this point to roll our sleeves up and actually build the product for launch. This took us essentially the next 6 months or so. We soft launched in the UK in May 2012 and launched globally in July. To a certain amount of excitement from the technical and the musical press. Thinking about landmarks along the way, I think one I remember most is when musician Ed Sheeran got to hear about what we were doing. His management contacted us and said, can we actually use your app, engage the fans to actually shoot some of the gigs he was doing in a run at the Hammersmith Apollo. So we did this. This was the first major test of the technology with hundreds of people shooting at once and then all uploading and then having the movies delivered to them. We learned quite a lot that night and the 2 or 3 following nights, but we got some great movies and the partnership with Ed continues. I'll show you something else shortly that we did with Ed. Following that, a whole bunch of musicians got in touch, and we've worked with Madonna, we worked with Jamie Cullum, Jason Memraz, Matchbox 20, amongst others. So we've done a great deal of stuff with musicians and musicians on tour, and musicians in venues. We've got some other interesting things in the pipeline with various artists, but if I told you what they were, I'd probably have to shoot you. So that was 2012, our launch year. And like I said, people got very excited. The app was featured in the App Store several times, notably as one of the best of 2012. TechCrunch, Telegraph, Men's Journal. I'm not quite sure how we felt about that one. But Apps Magazine, Best Social App of the Year. And people started saying all sorts of interesting things about us. Coolest app, as fun as heck to use, the new rock and roll. This brings us to 2013. where we are now. We started this year on one platform, on the iPhone. At this point, we've actually expanded our range. We launched on Android in February. We've just launched a Windows Phone version, which, whatever you feel about Windows, we've done this in conjunction with Nokia. The Nokia devices really are beautiful, and the cameras are amazing. So this is, for us, a very interesting collaboration. In addition, we actually built out a web editor. So on our website now, you can look at the movies people have made and make your own cuts of them. And again, share them, broadcast them, whatever. We're about to launch a user portal, which will let you, as a user, create an occasion, an event. Could be a gig, could be a school event, could be a children's party, and have those movies automatically tagged, have them streamed in a single stream, have a dedicated page where you can actually see all of the movies that come out of that event. So that's what we've got lined up. I'm going to finish with a couple of short quotations, the sorts of things that people are saying about us. These are two of the nicest things that people have said about us. TechCrunch said, taken a look at a lot of video apps for a spin in my day, and I have to say that in my limited test run, Vyclone is seriously one of the coolest apps I've ever tried out. And The Guardian, Stuart Dredge, when he first saw it, wrote about us and said, one of the most potentially disruptive apps I've seen. So that's Vyclone. Thank you very much indeed.
Has any question here? Question, David?
Questions? Yep.
Yeah, a couple of things that puzzled me about the way you make it work, because in theory it's quite an easy thing to do, but in practice it's really hard because you've got to sync the audio and you've got to sync the video, and they don't necessarily sync together because people can be further at the back or nearer the front. And the other problem you've got is everyone's trying to upload simultaneously over a really shit connection. So how do you deal with that kind of head-scratching nightmare?
Okay, so the video and audio issue, we take a somewhat pragmatic view. Yes, you're right. The further you get away from something, the more video and audio get out of sync. Actually, we find that in practice, it's not noticeable. Because if you're videoing from the back of a big stadium, you're not watching the detail of what people do. So, you know, it is a problem that we will tackle, but it's a problem we feel we haven't had to tackle yet.
But how do you sync it at all?
Now that's secret. Actually, we're doing both audio and video analysis on the sources that are coming through, and both of those also contribute to the algorithms that actually decide how we cut the final point. With respect to your second question, the thing about upload and connectivity, we let people record and upload later, and actually if you try and upload and the upload fails, you can retry and retry and retry. So typically in a gig, people will be recording, and they may be uploading there and then, or they may wait till they get home. But whatever happens, at some point we get all the footage. We also have, we've done a lot of work on actually letting the app work offline, so as long as we know where you are, we can actually then pull the video together if you then come back online. Good questions.
Any other questions? You're making me work.
I just wondered who owns the final edited video, whether that's something that you retain the rights to, or if there's a method in order to put that back into the hands of the creators.
This is a really interesting question. In a kind of classical model of social video, you know, you record something or you take a picture and you upload it. It's your picture, and you know, there's an arrangement with the person who, you know, the site to which you're uploading it, which you probably haven't read because it's buried in the small print. But when 3 or 4 people are contributing to a video, you know, who owns that? We spend a lot of time thinking about this, a lot of time worrying about it. Yeah, for example, who decides whether it's something that can be shared only amongst the people who shot that video, or whether it's something that can be published to the world? Our view is that actually if several people record a video together, they all own it. And if one of those people decides they want to make it private, then it stays private amongst those 7 people. Until the video itself is available, okay, at that point, all 7 people own it. And if I want to make it public, even though you've made it private, I can make it public and I can share it on a social network and whatever. At that point, everyone who made that video is told about that. So if you really don't want me to make it private, you can actually make it public, rather. You can actually make it private again. And you could, if you wanted, play ping pong like this, or you could just talk to each other. We thought this was the most realistic way of actually setting this up. In practice, we have not seen people worried or anxious about this. So people seem to get the idea very quickly that, 3 or 4 of you filming and you want to make it private just to the 3 or 4 of you, then you just set it to private, and that's that. Any more questions?
I think we need to crack on, David. Thanks very much. I know there's huge possibilities.
That sounds good.
Huge
Thank you very
possibilities.
much indeed.